So the bike cops have just shown up. No, they're not.
The only reason we're here is for a community meeting that was called from the NYPD. And when we came, none of our concerns or questions were answered.
And in a nutshell, that was the whole situation. And people were asking questions. They weren't yelling them, they were asking questions, and they were totally ignored. And that helped escalate any tension that was already there. If it's a community affair, you have people in the community coming out to ask questions in a calm manner. It should be addressed, not ignored. Now we have another group coming up. And I know legal isn't ordering these cops to go ahead and block everything off. So currently, you've got all the community affairs across the street, right there on that side, as well as legal. You have the bike cops on this side. 2, 3, 4,
pieces of shit! You motherfuckers, look what you do!
The guy isn't even part of the march itself. He's just someone who lives in the neighborhood. And he was trying to cross the street. Go.
Get off his car!
He didn't do anything. Let him go.
He's not even part of the group. He was just crossing around here.
He's just crossing the fucking street.
I mean, if you guys are smart, just release it.
Let him go. Let him go. He was just crossing the fucking street. Let him go.
He wasn't even a protester.
He's still with us. He's just fucking.
guy need to go back home.
He wasn't even protesting! Let him go! Let him go! You gave no dispersal alert! There's no reason to arrest him! Let him go!
Any arrest made in this space is unlawful. We were invited to this space for that was to be called this meeting. And when we came here, we questioned and concerns about all the and then as our
Okay, now they're bringing more officers with riot gear and their batons out. So a simple thing where it should have been community affair, all they did was want answers. They were talking calmly. It got escalated, and this definitely escalated the situation, and having riot cops come in is escalating it to a whole new level.
Let him go!
This is one of the situations we're always talking about. 90% of the time, they're escalating a situation that doesn't need to happen.
Let him go! Let him go!
Sam, can you get this guy's name?
I know legal is trying to figure out something. I think legal is trying to figure out a way to let the guy go, but apparently these are the guys that just came up as well. You can see those over there with their batons out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 6. Anyone watching, would you please go ahead and make sure to share this out to any of the city council people if you have their numbers. Also, actually, Tish James and Jemani Williams, Corey Johnson. Share it out so that they know what's going on here, as well as the representatives here in Brooklyn. The march itself was maybe about 25 people. And if they look at the stream, they'll see how everything got escalated here, and the escalation increased where it shouldn't have happened. And now having the officers out here with nightsticks, the ones over there with their nightsticks out, these plus all the bike cops, arresting an individual that just lives in the neighborhood, not part of the group that was trying to cross. And it seems as if they were trying to say, the bike cop was trying to say that the guy pushed into him. Okay, now okay, they're saying the roadway.
Charges will be placed against you if you remain in the roadway and refuse to use the available sidewalk.
Everyone is on the sidewalk.
This is the New York City Police Department. You are unlawfully walking in the roadway. I am ordering you to go back on the sidewalk now. If you do so voluntarily,
they are on the sidewalk.
Placed against you. If you remain in the roadway and refuse to use the available sidewalk, you will be subject to arrest.
The only ones in the streets right now are on the sidewalk.
New York City Police Department. You are unlawfully walking in the roadway. I am ordering you to go back on the sidewalk now. If you do so voluntarily, charges will be placed against you. If you remain in the roadway and refuse to use the available sidewalk, you will be subject to arrest.
The only ones in the streets are the officers.
This is the New York City Police Department. You are unlawfully walking in the roadway. I am ordering you to go back on the sidewalk now. If you do so voluntarily, no charges will be placed against you. If you remain in the roadway and refuse to use the available sidewalk, you will be subject to arrest.
The street is red.
Yo, this is going all over the fucking news.
It didn't need to escalate to this.
They love escalating. They love escalating.
No, it didn't.
They love it. They fucking love it. They love escalating shit. You guys are drunk. You guys are criminals. You guys support domestic terrorism. You support Donald Trump. You support
And that's why I was just like, what the fuck?
And when we show up, and we tell you, oh, what our demands are, this is what you do, the world is fucking watching you. The world is fucking watching you. So go ahead, arrest us. Beat us. Go do whatever the fuck you want. You have a fucking...
So the gentleman who got arrested, who lives in the neighborhood, they just loaded him into an NYPD van. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, so there's somewhere around 80 to 100 police officers out here, plus, and all of that is actually, overkill. I mean, like I said, the march was maybe like 25 people. You know, and if this was actually a community meeting, it should have just been addressed. And there are other police and cars on in back of us on another street as well, so it's definitely well over 100.
What the fuck you're about? All the people here that are not with us every day protesting. Thank you for showing us.
So this is live happening in Brooklyn. And Taru doing their normal filming.
More! Fire chief, more! Fire chief, more! Fire chief, more!
All right.
Do you want to read the URL?
Yes. It is tinyurl.com/fire LAPD Chief Moore. Can everybody see it? Can everyone see it? Okay, the next person I'm going to call forward is our brother Dogon from LA Can.
Woo! Woo woo!
All power to the people.
All power to the people!
Whose streets?
Our streets!
Whose streets?
Our streets!
Whose streets?
Our streets!
Damn right they are streets. All we gotta do is get in them and we can take them anytime we want to. Ain't that right?
Yes!
But we living in a city right now. We got a city, right? The politicians in this city. We got a government that plots, plans, and carry out terrorist conspiracies against its own damn citizens. Ain't that something? They carrying out terrorist conspiracies against us, right? And they want us to believe, you know, the reason why come they gather and all this high-tech equipment, this spying equipment, all these mass weapons of destruction. They want us to believe that it's the Taliban, that it's ISIS, Al-Qaeda, even the Crips and the Bloods, right? That's terrorizing our communities, right? That's killing us, right? But I'm here today to tell you that it ain't none of them groups, right? The people that's violating our damn rights, that's shooting and murdering us every day, understand me, is in fact the people who we turn around and give our tax dollars to. Right? This is the people who took an oath, you understand me, to serve and protect us. These are the people that's murdering us. that's gunning us down in the streets. Look at LAPD, year after year, prime example. They lead the nation in murdering us, right? How the hell is you gonna be the worstest police station in the fucking nation, right? You worse than the police stations in Mississippi, Georgia, Alabama, all of them put together. These dogs is worse than them because you know why? Because they continue to lead the nation.
Yep.
Right? And it's racist, the shootings that you see they doing. Right? It's racist. They done shot us every way you can shoot a man. They done shot us. Roll call. They shot Alcano off the side of a roof on 5th and San Pedro. Said they shot him to save him. Right? They shot Osorio Mac in the Crenshaw damn mall. People walking around shopping, they just opened fire. You know, right? And then walked up to the man when he landed on his back, landed on the ground and shot him in the back. Right?
Shame.
Brendan Glenn in Venice gunned him down while he was handcuffed, laying on his back, laying on his stomach.
Shame.
Right? It's like I say, they done shot us, murdered us any way that you can shoot them. And it's racist because we never hear about an white boy getting shot while he riding a skateboard with a Snicker in his hand. You ain't never heard of no shit like that, right? But you heard about every way that they done shot us, right? Another example of LA, the worst city in the nation, is Mississippi shit. LA leads the nation in incarceration, right? When you look in the prison system, California has the largest prison system in the world, and the majority of those prisoners are from down south. They ain't from nowhere else around the world. They are neighbors, our families. South Central, Compton, Watts, East LA, and the Valley. That's what's composed of the California prison system. Ask me how I know. I done damn near been to all of them, and I've seen everybody who in there. Right? The courthouse across the street is the busiest courthouse in the nation. Busiest. Working with the number one over here, you gonna always have the number one courthouse. The way they're cranking them up. Right. Another case example. LA leads the nation in homelessness.
Yep.
Right? The last 20 years, this city have been found guilty 7 times in federal court. 7 times in federal court. They have been found guilty of either stealing homeless people's property or 8th Amendment violations of cruel and unusual punishment.
Shame.
Jim Crow shit. Who can be in public spaces and who can't be in public spaces?
Shame.
Right? They got 5 committees that's associated with homelessness here. They got the oversight, the strategy committee, the poverty committee, the administrative committee. They got 5 committees. Now all those committees, they don't have an idea in hell about what to do next. Right? Except for the sweepers, like what you see in Echo Park. And the justification is to go, oh, we found 4 dead bodies in the lake. But you have a mayor that said this. You have city council members that said this. But not once have they talked about the 4 people, homeless people that's falling dead every day in the city of Los Angeles because they freezing to death. Or because they got bad public health. They can't get a damn place to stay. They don't want to talk about none of that. So here we are. We see LA. All these issues. How do we solve this problem? Because we have a shitty council or city hall that obviously can't solve these problems. Right? Who gonna solve these problems? It's gonna take us, the people. The time is now to fight back. The time is now to organize ourselves and come together. Right? We can't wait for them to do it. 4 of us is down today. They murdered us every day. We hear these sayings, silence is violence. It's another one that says, if you're on the side of neutral, then you have sided with the oppressor.
Yeah.
I got one to add with that. All right? If your ass ain't taking it to the street with your neighbor, understand me, you on the side of the oppressor. If your ass ain't fighting back during this time right now, then you on the side of the oppressor. I don't give a damn if you can't do nothing but spit. It's time for you to spit and get you a bottle of water and do a whole lot of spitting with that. Right?
Yes.
So now this is the action time. This is the time for us to come together and talk about what we gonna do. The press conference, it's the last press conference we're going to have, because after this, we taking it to the streets. It's time to fight back. We're going to let our words, our actions be our words, right? And so the next, what we're going to do now is open up public comment. And we want to hear from y'all. We want y'all to come up here and talk about how you going to fight. What you going to do to join the fight, right? We through with all this other stuff, right? That part of the agenda is over with. We're talking about now creating cultures of resistance in our community. We're talking about now taking it to the streets and kicking some ass. All right? So if you ain't about that, then don't come up here and touch this mic. All right? So come up here, we want to talk about what the fight is. And the next speaker is my sister Jane. Get right ahead and come on up here.
Yeah! Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, grab mine. So you go and grab mine. They gotta go.
Right on. We said defund, not reform. Fuck the police. That's what we've been saying. That's what I've been saying for 10 motherfucking years, right? How long and what are we talking about right now? We're talking about commitment to abolish the police, commitment to abolish the system, recreation of what we're doing. So Dogon said, right, what are we going to do? How are we going to take it to the streets? So I'm with the Stop LAPD Spy Coalition. I want to tell a little story of how we took it to the streets. Right, a lot of people are like, oh, here comes Stop LAPD Spy, and they released another 50-page report about LAPD, about their infrastructure, about their surveillance technology. But let me tell you what they're doing. They're setting up a garrison state. You want to know how they took us down in Echo Park so quick? For those of you who remember Occupy, how they took down Occupy by coordinating with DHS, how they came out of the basement, how they were able to secure the area on a drop of a dime, right? That is surveillance. That is reform. That is how they're doing it. And if we are not taking the time to do like what Mama Zola said, put a face on the system, then the system will continue to grow. We cannot just be in the streets. We need to be understanding the structures. So let me tell you about community safety operations centers. They are like mini fusion centers. Do you know what a fusion center is? We, the Stop LAPD Spy Coalition, have shut down fusion centers. The largest one in the nation, right here in Norwalk. We have walked up to it, shut it down. Me and Hamid have almost been arrested, taken out of the building. Do you know what fusion centers are? They are taking your data, they are sharing it. They are fucking sharing it locally, statewide, internationally, following every single one of you.
Wow.
Monitoring every single thing that they do. That's why they were able to take you down in Echo Park. So what do we got to do about it? We find out where these systems are, we find out where these places are, and we fucking break them.
Yes.
We break them open. That's what we did. We found the Community Safety Operations Center, located in Skid Row, Central Division. We lit a fucking bonfire in front of it. The fire department showed up. They tried to get us to move. They said, fuck it, we ain't dealing with that, and they left. So now, this is what else they have. They have area community crime intelligence centers set up per area in neighborhoods now. Many fusion centers in neighborhoods. So what the fuck are we gonna do about that? Now they have the surveillance down to our neighborhoods, and they call them community centers. That is reform. They're calling it community centers. Let's find them. Let's break them. Let's break them open. Let's shut them down.
Absolutely.
So get ready. When the Stop LAPD Spy Coalition
Probably not.
Because they've lied about it before. They've lied to our faces before. We drug them out of the divisions and they lied about it. So get ready because we're shutting that shit down.
Shut it down!
If anybody else wants to make a comment, this is open mic. We're gonna just be mindful that there's a bunch of folks, so we want to do it for.
Okay, so
Our family needs us. Denver, our family needs you. We need you to bring awareness, spread awareness to the. Denver, stand with the people of Tigray. 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 Tigray lives matter. Tigray lives matter. Tigray lives matter. Tigray lives matter. Denver, we come in peace, in unity, to spread awareness to the current genocide occurring in the Tigray region of Ethiopia. We're here to stop the raping, stop the killing, stop the looting, stop. We're here to justice for Tigray. 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 No peace in Tigray. No peace in Ethiopia. 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 Justice for Tigray. Justice for Tigray. Tigray lives matter. Tigray lives matter. Tigray lives matter.
All right.
we're geared up for something. Guys. Are you guys okay?
Oh yeah, we're good.
Okay. Okay, guys, I'm gonna keep the stream going for a minute. You're good. You're good. Okay, guys, I'm gonna take the stream down. Okay.
And as we know, a smaller group of protesters is easier to brutalize, easier to hurt. That's what he wanted. The goal was to destroy the community the Lake residents had formed and to discourage Angelenos from standing in solidarity with them. But the commission knows all this. They know these actions are shameful. That's why they canceled their meeting today. They know we're mad. They know we're furious. They know we're justly furious. And they know we'll hold them accountable. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah!
I just want to say a few words. We have never seen a moment
in 20 years, maybe 40 years in Los Angeles, like we are seeing in this moment. And what we're seeing is housing rights activists, tenants' rights activists, homeless rights activists, anti-spying and anti-police violence activists, all coming together in the last 2 and 3 weeks, like we've never come together before. And those of you who face the violence every day, it's long past time, right? We recognize that we can't just sit in shelters. We have to confront the police when they come to us with their violence. And I want to clarify something very clear for all of us, and that is the lies that we witnessed last Wednesday when they came out there with that brutal force to evict peaceful occupiers of a homeless encampment. And they came out to break up a peaceful, lawful assembly. The 1,000 people showed up to peaceably assemble and make their voices heard, and the city sent out people in riot gear to intimidate us, to make it look like we were a threat. We were no threat. As a matter of fact, at the
No electricity, no phones, no internet. Could you imagine that? For 147 days, for your whole family. We're here to be the voice for the voiceless. We will shut this city down until our families are home. For 140 days. I'm good. That's all good. I'm good. I got coffee.
body cam is on thousands of cell phones. It's witnessed by all of us. And it's on the film that it was not violent protesters there that night. It was the demonstrators who made sure that they came out, even though they came out with guns and batons against us, we remained peaceful. We sent the crowd home peacefully, and then they betrayed this city of Los Angeles and everybody there and everybody who's looking for a place to stay by that lie which Captain Lopez perpetuated and then fenced us in and wouldn't even give us a gate to go in and out of. The following day, we were told that we were locked in and we were interrogated. Are you accepting housing? And it wasn't housing. It was an invitation it was an attempt to coerce us into joining into Mitchell Farrell's criminal conspiracy to violate county, city, state, and federal codes of civil procedure on who should get the scarce resources of hotel rooms when they're available. That needs to be investigated by the Justice Department in this country, here in Los Angeles. This corruption, this was a prime example of corruption. When you have a politician who is taking public resources that are governed by the people and the laws that say those who need them, get them. Not politicians who are attempting to corrupt developers and gentrifiers. That's the definition of corruption.
Yes.
And the federal government needs to step in immediately and launch an investigation of what happened with the dispersal and the violation of all the federal codes of civil procedure around evicting us from our lawful shelter in this COVID emergency last week at Echo Park. The city attorney needs to investigate Mitchell Farrell for his corruption in the way that he took those scarce resources and used them to curry favor with his gentrifier and developer buddies, and the district attorney needs to investigate this as well.
Yes, thank you.
We're calling on them all to do their jobs and launch an investigation. Demand it.
Thank you, man.
Anybody else wants to make a comment?
Yeah. Yeah, go for it.
All right, how's it going? Richie Serdenko from People's City Council. First off, I just want to say fuck the pigs. You know, I just want to break down what I saw this past week at Echo Park. Mitchell Farrell and Mayor Garcetti organized with LAPD to send hundreds of LAPD officers to come storm Echo Park Lake and violently sweep and displace the residents of the lake. And they were going to do it in the middle of the night. They were going to raid the park in the middle of the night. And you have to wonder how much coordination went into that. How many resources went to getting officers from all over the city to come down to Echo Park Lake? What was Mitchell Farrell and Mayor Garcetti doing to coordinate hundreds of officers to come down and raid unhoused residents of the park in the middle of the night? And this comes after LAPD had just shot 6 people in 7 days. So they know that what LAPD is going to do and capable of doing, and yet they still sent hundreds of them to sweep and displace unhoused residents. And unhoused people in Los Angeles also have horrible experiences with the police. So they wanted to subject them to brutal behavior from LAPD. And then the next day on Thursday, when I arrived to a peaceful vigil that was hosted by Echo Park Rise Up, there were hundreds of officers that staged the entire neighborhood in Echo Park. They were prepared to make targeted mass arrests from the moment they got there. When I arrived, there was already hundreds of officers in riot gear and guns. And for fucking Mitchell Farrell and Mayor Garcetti to blame any of the violence on protesters is fucking bullshit. How do they get to send hundreds of officers with guns and riot gear into a neighborhood and shut the entire neighborhood down, but yet flashlights were the fucking problem?
Fuck that!
We had flashlights because they were operating at the end of a dark street, and the night before, they broke someone's arm and they beat us with batons. So what were they going to do in the middle of the night on Thursday, planning for nightfall, if we didn't have flashlights? If we didn't have flashlights, they would have came and attacked us in the dark.
Yes.
And the reason why they're blaming flashlights is they're pissed that we caught what they're doing on camera. These fucking pigs uphold racist, white supremacist systems, and we need to abolish them. We need to defund the police. Fuck the pigs. Thank you.
Yes! Get it, Richie. All right, Jason.
What's up, y'all? My name is Jason with Black Lives Matter in Los Angeles. I wanted to, again, if you haven't signed the petition to fire Chief Moore, again, that's tinyurl.com/fire LAPD Chief Moore. Right? We need everyone to sign that petition and share it with as many people as you can. It's very imperative, right? So yeah, I wanted to talk about what happened with the LA fucking PD. I want to first speak to Mayor Garcetti. Mayor Garcetti has continued to fail the unhoused in our community.
Yes.
Chief Moore has failed to keep them safe, quote unquote safe, right? He only criminalizes the unhoused. And you saw that on Wednesday and Thursday night in Echo Park. And I want to speak to who was on the ground that day. Captain Stabile, fuck you.
Talk about it.
All right?
Talk
fuck
about
you, Captain Stabile. Captain Stabile, for those of you that don't remember, was the officer who stood here when a black woman was a victim of a hate crime, right? His officers witnessed it. She came over to tell him what happened, and he told her, oh, well, you can file a citizen's arrest form. You can sign this form, and you'll do the arrest, and we'll take them after that.
Fuck that! Fuck that!
He's also a Proud Boy supporter, right? We know that based off his fucking Twitter, and we know that Stabile was on the ground that night. He was going to organize to abuse and arrest all of our people that were there for a non-violent protest. We were there for a fucking vigil, and they surrounded us. Blocks. They shut down streets for blocks. What were they protecting on Thursday night? What? The fence was already built. They had already displaced so many people from the park. Who were they protecting? What were they doing there? They were there to shut us up. And we will not shut up. We will only grow louder. We will only get deeper. And we will only fight them even more and even harder.
Yes.
I'm going to speak to a couple other things. The helicopter audio. We all heard that helicopter audio on Wednesday night. That investigation was quick, right? They said it wasn't us. Well, what happened when the George Floyd Valentine came out? It took them, 4 or 5 weeks? They said one officer was part of that. That's bullshit. They won't even release his name, even though Chief Moore said, that has no place in our department. They still haven't released his name. They still haven't released the names of the LAPD officers that were there on the day of the storming of the Capitol. That were there. He still hasn't released the names. And I want to speak to also, 182 people were arrested on Thursday night. You know how many people were arrested on the night, or the day of the Capitol, fucking terrorist act? I think it was, 12? Was it 12? Alright, so, I don't know. Chief Moore, I know you're not good at math, because you always seem to get your fucking numbers mixed up. But that's almost 18 times the amount of people that got arrested on the day of the Capitol fucking insurrection than what happened on other days. So anyways, I just want to close with that. I want to close with the last part. Flashlights. They said that. Flashlights, right? We use flashlights because they tried to use the night to cover their evil, to mask their evil. That's right. So we use flashlights to illuminate their fucking sins. That's right.
Yes!
So I want to close and share this call to action from a mother whose son was murdered by police in Tampa, Florida. He was a 14-year-old. His name is Andrew Joseph III. So we'd love for you to join us in posting pictures of yourself today. We'd love to get the group to come in and to put up 5, the number 5, hold up the number 5, which was his football number. So if you can hashtag 5s up, you can tag at justice_for_Andrew. And we'd love for you to share those photos today as we stand with the grieving mother of Andrew Joseph III. So for those of you that could join us up here, I'd love to take a picture to post. Also, if you can encourage others to post, that would be great. Thank you.
No, Jason, can you have everybody turn around and hold up a 5 like this? I'm going to take a photo from back here.
All right, he's going to take a photo right here. Everyone turn around. Actual 5 up.
Yeah, bring the
Appreciate
actual
that.
5. Yeah.
Rest in peace, George Floyd. You know, you take a clerical error from a local government. You take a man who feels free because of words given to him by that local government. Sincerely so, feels free. And then he's picked up by the same security side of that same government, aka LMPD. How is he supposed to trust the system? It doesn't actually exude or build or emphasize confidence in that system. But then again, I might just be on a little rant today. Or I guess a better phrase is, I'm just all up in my feelings. Over here listening to Jasmine Sullivan, for God's sakes. How you doing? I guess I already said that earlier. You have a good day, huh?
Damn, they did spray.
Yeah.
They took it all. They made
given. Just don't know what you was missing. What you asked, I would have given. It ain't right. Too many names indeed. Free Bruce. My thought is that he is going to get out today. If not today, tomorrow at the latest. But again, I just don't know. Right, Jonah? And yesterday was so jam-packed for me. I have not been able to focus on that case as much as I would have liked to, but I plan on doing that today. I can't believe it either. I did see a video, Reverend Sharpton, and I got my thoughts on him as well. But anyway, that's a story. That's a lie for another day. He told everybody to get down on one knee, and stay down there for the length of time that Chauvin had his knee on George Floyd's neck. They wanted to do that, and I've seen that before in different protests. I think it's important to get that to feel how long it is to stay down there on your knee, especially on someone's neck. It's a long time to be on someone's neck anyway, to be on someone's neck at all. But anyway, I digress. Watching him speak out there, that being Reverend Al Sharpton. He was standing next to, what's his face? What's his name? Gosh, I can't think of his name. It's the attorney. Benjamin Crump. There we go. Not Stump, but Crump. Anyway, Al Sharpton just giving his opinion, his thoughts on the case and what happened out there, is emphasizing how we do live in two different Americas. I hope Chauvin gets what's coming to him. And all the other officers that stood there and allowed such a heinous act to take place without even a sense of accountability right there on the scene. I'm mad at myself for not being in Minneapolis right now. That's another interesting topic in itself. I could spend my days here as I have been throughout these protests, traveling to different cities and being a part of their protests and whatnot, which is great. A strong sense of me feels so connected here to 502 and the things going on within it that I spend my days and hours and minutes getting education, getting paperwork together, helping with court cases, live streaming, obviously, for 502, because that's where my heart is, That's one of the main reasons I didn't go to Minneapolis, because there's so much going on here at this time that needs to be attended to, needs to be seen, needs to be focused on. But of course, a part of me did want to be there in Minneapolis right now. I don't know, some people I've gone to be friends with are there in Minneapolis, doing their thing, live streaming, aesthetics, Con Ash for one. I know she's out there. Which brings me to the next topic too, Take the Civilian Review Accountability Board, or CRAB, if you will. I can't say it enough. My thought, every time I think of Civilian Review Board, my mind goes straight to the phrase subpoena power. I want to send another shout out, a hand clap, metaphorical hoorah to Antonio Teammate Taylor's They Shall Bust It. Throughout their tenure on the Civilian Review Board, one thing that could be done more than anything, I don't know, is to build enough evidence, build enough proof, build enough assets to build a strong enough case to go to the Capitol, get a House bill passed to get subpoena power for that same Civilian Review Board. Because in my opinion, without that subpoena power, as there are a plethora of articles that echo the same sentiment, it might just be a repeat of history. But I sincerely hope not. I know those are two powerful minds, two powerful hearts on the Civilian Review Board. The FOP doesn't think so. But nonetheless, they're there. It reminds me of a phrase Barack Obama said in his commencement speech. For those of you who didn't vote for me, I'm going to be your president too. That phrase right there. You may not like me. But I'm here. You may not like me, but I'm here. So what? I'm just on a little rant. Sitting here waiting on Bruce. But it was missed.
A lot of things to continue. We want to remember Fire Chief Moore.
Fire Chief Moore!
Fire
Chief Moore!
Fire Chief Moore! Fire Chief Moore! All right, Ashe. And we're going to close out in the way that Black Lives Matter closes out at all of our events. And I'm going to ask the young people who are members of Black Lives Matter to move into the sauna. And there will be. Oh, okay.
Let's go, everybody. Let's just circle up. Circle up and hold hands, please. Let's close up with the sauna.
No hands. Okay, we're going to close out with the Sada. This is an affirmation that she left us before she was exiled in Cuba. And these are words of strength that we use to close out every Black Lives Matter ceremony. So it'll start in a whisper and it'll grow to a shout, so repeat after us in the same tone. It is our duty to fight for freedom.
It is our duty to fight for freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We must love and protect one another.
We must love and protect one another.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
It is our duty to fight for freedom.
It is our duty to fight for freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We must love and protect one another.
We must love and protect one another.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
It is our duty to fight for freedom.
It is our duty to fight for freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We must love and protect one another.
We must love and protect one another.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
Ashe.
Woo!
Good work.
They wouldn't have to. They couldn't ignore it. They being the city, they being Metro Council. Proposals have been written and not seen as far as local reparations. I don't think it's something that could be ignored. You know, it's interesting. I brought it up in that meeting that Mayor Fisher was on the screen when he met with protesters. I brought up reparations, and then he replied, I mean, we could do a series of things and anything and call it reparations. The first thing that came to my mind was that in Asheville, North Carolina, one of the stipulations or criteria in the Reparations Act was an apology. And I thought to myself, maybe that's one thing Mayor Fisher and the city's trying to avoid. I don't know. There's a lot of things I can think, a lot of theories I can throw out there, hypotheses start cycling around in my brain. But let's get the truth.
The cars still coming. A lot of cars. A lot of cars.
Keep going, keep going, keep driving, please. Woody parking has to come back right here, please. Everybody has to come back right here, Woody parking, please.
Constantly happening. So I don't know. How do you feel about these? Like, seems like never ending. Oh, sorry, people call me and it messes there. Okay, go ahead.
Calling you. So one thing that I will say is that, like, in my experience, it's been really, really hard to be able to resolve an encampment just through services alone when it's really big. It's like pretty much straight up impossible. If camps are small and they're clean and they're quiet, it's not really like that isn't something that the city is going to want to put a ton of resources into, just like pushing people away or like moving people in that situation. When you get a situation like this where there's tons of people, you tend to see more victimization, you tend to see more property crime, you tend to see more trafficking. We see worse health outcomes for the people who are staying out here. Like, there's just things that have a tendency to come up with these large encampments that make it really difficult, even sometimes for service providers, to come in and be able to provide the services that they want to be able to provide, because they can't do it safely. So, it is, I mean, there's a lot of difficulty with large encampments and like breaking them up, moving them or something like that, but it is kind of something that has to be done on a level, you know?
So, okay. You brought some, I want to bring this up, is you talk about large camps, and that's something that we understand ourselves, and I think that we've been criticized for actually helping out or encouraging large camps, and I want the public to know and you to know is we don't encourage large camps at all. No. We actually encourage those small camps. In fact, right after Last Hope, we were trying to get people into small camps because they use that as the excuse, well, this camp is too big, it's dangerous, whatever. And so we were trying to find them smaller camps, but the problem is that every single place is not allowed. Right? In the city of Salt Lake City, you can't camp anywhere, even if it's on private property, because it has to be zoned. You can't camp on private property, and you can't camp on public property. And so, you know, I'm just saying, it's like, where do people go? Because the underlying factor, let's get back to housing, is until people have somewhere to go, until they have a home, which is affordable or free, whichever one, they have nowhere to go. So, I mean, it sounds like, I guess on paper you can say, well, if you had smaller camps, then they'd be safer or whatever, but they're not, because smaller camps, then they're at higher risk to be violated by the police. The police can harass them more when they're smaller camps. That's why people congregate into bigger camps, for protection, because they need people to watch their stuff, because people have to leave their tents, right? It's like, people work, some people work, they go, and someone needs to watch their tent. They can't leave their tents, or their items are going to be stolen. So it is a catch-22, but people don't have anywhere to go. So you talk about the Rio Grande, Project Rio Grande, and I know that a lot of the money that was allocated for that, a majority of that money went to the police department, right, and the prisons and
yeah, it didn't go to the Salt Lake City Police Department. It mostly went to UHP.
UHP?
Yeah, Utah Highway Patrol.
Okay.
It's the state.
Yeah, and why is that?
It was a state project.
So, do you know what the Utah Highway Patrol did with that money? Like, what was their...
I don't. So I actually was not... I was working at the shelter when Operation Rio Grande.
Because this was 3 or 4 years ago, the shelter...
So I was not at the city at that time, so I actually am fairly unfamiliar with how, like, the funding and stuff like that worked for ORG,
But as far as right now, so here's what I heard, is that we had in the COVID stimulus package that the city of Salt Lake City... What's that?
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. the city of Salt Lake City, I heard it started off as $50 million, the stimulus to go towards the unsheltered. And then I heard $750 million. So what have you heard? And I heard that they're prioritizing Wi-Fi tables.
No.
What's going on?
So I'm going to say this about federal funding. Federal funding is really complicated.
Okay.
It is not... I think that it's kind of a normal thing to think that, like, oh, we've just got all this funding and it just like has come in and we get to do whatever we want with it, and that is definitely not the case. It comes in like specific packages, kind of.
Yes, yes.
And goes to different programs, and all of those different programs have different regulations.
Yep.
Most of it, so like everything that comes to the city to help people experiencing homelessness is going to come through HUD, probably.
Okay. The housing or urban development.
Yeah. Then we do have right now we have some money from the Treasury, also from the U.S. Treasury, and that has gone specifically to help people who have rent obligations, have current rent obligations. So if you're in a place and you need help with your rent, go to rentrelief.utah.gov. Please.
Rentrelief.utah.gov.
Rentrelief.utah.gov. You can apply there for rental assistance, and that will catch you up on your rent if you have a current rent obligation. So if you're currently in a place and you're going to get kicked out, this is the place that you can go. Please go to that address, and you can apply for funding to help with your back rent there.
Okay.
There is definitely more money that is coming in from the American Rescue Plan Act, which we're really excited about. We don't know how that's going to get used. Most likely, the way that is going to be figured out is through a public process. So information will come in from different ways. I don't know if it's going to be like a survey or if they're going to do like focus groups or something like that, but very likely what will happen is there will be some kind of public input process so that the public can tell us what they want to see that funding be used for. Another really good way to influence that.
Sorry, let me, because that's important, because this is the thing is like when policy is happening, usually the public doesn't even show up. And if they do show up, sometimes it's limited to like 1 or 2 minute testimonies. What I would like to, is what is this process? How do people actually make their public comments? Do you know?
So for this one, for federal funding, I wish that I knew, but I don't actually know today. I will tell you when I find out, Carl.
Thank you.
I will tell you when I find out.
Thank you.
But I do believe, from what I've heard, that there will be some kind of public process or public input process. I mean, sometimes they do this with like streets where they want to like get information from people who live in a neighborhood, and they're going to do like a streets project. They'll like send out like email blasts or whatever, and they like have you fill out a survey for like what you want to see on the street. I don't know if it's going to be like that, or if it's going to be like they reach out to different like heads of different organizations to try to get information about what they think they need, that kind of stuff. It could go lots of different ways, but it takes, I will say also, it takes a long time to get federal funding, like through the whole process that it has to go through. So it has to come into the city has to do public process, and then usually what ends up happening is we have to then we have to come up with a plan, a stack, and then we have to present that to the city council. The city council has to hear what the plan is, and then they have to adopt that.
So, okay, I'm gonna kind of.
Takes a long time.
And that's my point right now. Is you have a bureaucracy. This is a bureaucracy that you have to run through. You have all of your processes. Okay.
And I will say, this is me editorializing, but I will say that's a good thing. It's a good thing because it's not like people just making decisions in a vacuum. It's not staff like just making decisions in a vacuum about what we think that the community needs. The community can then like inform us on what
so my point on that was expediency. So there's no expediency in bureaucracy. Okay, and I'm looking back at when we developed the Camp Last Hope, is we saw a situation where people needed to be safe. So we started doing that. We had everything we had everything but porta potties available.
We got your porta potties.
Yeah, you got his porta potties in the last 2 weeks.
I know.
The last 2 weeks we got porta potties, but I'm just saying, is as us as a community, and this is probably what Dick is talking about too, is like us as a community, we are able to jump on things and get things done. So it'd be nice if there was like moratoriums put on, or if we could have some kind of a cooperation with Salt Lake City Police Department, you know, if they could like if they could put a moratorium on like the no camping ordinance or the no open fire ordinances. These are things that we're looking at, or even open up city property. Just allow it to give use. See, because that could give you time to do your bureaucracy, to do your things, right? But in the immediate time, people's lives are at stake. People's lives are at risk. And that's why I'm out here. That's why Dick's out here. That's why so many groups are out here, because we care about people's lives. And I'm not saying that you don't care about people's lives. I'm saying that
I do, I promise.
I know, I believe you. I do.
Everybody does. Everybody does that's out here. We wouldn't be out here.
Right. But sometimes, you know, it takes drastic, not even drastic, but it takes immediate actions. So that's where I come in. I will do things right now. If somebody is freezing, I'm going to go out there and get them their shit. You know, if the police are violating their stuff, I'm going to try and help them out, you know. And I'm not saying that police are doing, like, all of the things that the police are doing are bad, because, like you're saying, human trafficking, sure. You know, people getting their shit stolen, sure. You know, that's their job, you know. They should be taking care of those things. They shouldn't be enforcing, and this is what I want to talk about now, is, oh, the sun's coming out and it's warm and it's awesome.
Oh,
okay,
thank you.
so the Salt Lake County Health Department.
While you're going to answer, like, while you're going to ask me the hard question.
No, this isn't the hard one. This is hopefully not, because this is because when we talk to the police say that they are only there because the Salt Lake County Health Department makes them be there. Because it's the county health department that they're the ones that are ordering. So it's Dale Keller who has the ability to say, this camp is too big, this camp is too small, these are going on.
Well, sort of yes and sort of no. So it definitely is not like one person is coming in and being like, this camp has to close.
Okay.
I'll talk you through the whole process.
Okay, because and I want people to take note is that these are all the people that have a hand in the abatements. These are all people that should have some kind of okay, just keep going. Sorry, I forget words.
Hold on. So what we do is there's all sorts of information that comes into the city from all different places. It can come through the SLC mobile app, it can come through people calling our office, it can come through like lots of different channels, people emailing us, all that stuff. They will let us know that there's a camp. And then typically, like always, I will say always, what we do when we are first told that there's a camp is we send outreach workers first. We say, thank you for letting us know that there is a camp here. We are going to send outreach workers to help us first, whether it's a huge camp or a small camp. Usually outreach workers already know about huge camps. So that kind of takes care of that. That's where we want to start from. That's what we want to see happen first, is to have somebody meet up with an outreach worker, have that person be offered services. A lot of the time it takes many like attempts to get somebody to trust you enough to take that service.
Yep.
I'm sure you probably
seen. I absolutely know. I absolutely know.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. It's not an easy. It's not
I mean,
just an
their environment is they can't, in order to survive.
Yeah.
They can't trust, and when it comes to the police, you know, it's really hard to trust the police because they're the ones that are enforcing this. Yeah, okay, keep going.
So that's the first thing. That's kind of the automatic step that we take. Then after that, if we need to send somebody out to kind of like clean up the area, not necessarily, well, they can't move people, but if there is like excessive trash or something like that, or somebody reports that there's bio waste at that camp, then we send a contractor out there, and that contractor cleans up. If that camp kind of stays at if there is like excessive trash or something like that, or somebody reports that there's bio waste at that camp, then we send a contractor out there, and that contractor cleans up. If that camp kind of stays at
live in Atlanta. Oh, we live on cyber. So come in here. Gordo, come in here. RC, digital Wayana diaspora. Huh? We're digital Wayana diaspora. Okay, to the south. Are you home? Digital Wayana diaspora. Digital Wayana diaspora. تقراي تعود. Yeah. Digital Wayana diaspora. So you guys, here we have one of our leaders, Denver, Colorado. We're live on Cyber Bar of Tigray. بالنسبة لنا أوكا تقرينيا إنجليزيا.
I can speak wherever I want, but
That's right.
መጀመሪያ ሰላም ንራዋን ህዝቢ ትግራይ ሰላም ጽንዓትን ጅግንነትን ውስጥና ወደገን ኢድኒ ተኣሳሲሩ ያው ታሪክ ይሰርሕ ኣሎ እዞም ጸላእትና ንዓና ከጥፊሎም ኣብ ዝተወገሱ ብየማነ ፀጋም እቲ ወራሪ ሰራዊት ሻዕብያ እቲ ፋሽስት ናይ ብልፅግና ሰራዊትን ኣጣቢቖም ንህዝቢ ትግራይ ሃለዋትን ከጥፉ ዝገብርዎ ዘለዉ ፃዕሪ እቲ ሙሑት ጅግና ሰራዊት ትግራይን ኣብ ደገ ዘሎ ዲያስፖራ ጅግና ትግራዋይ ለይትን ቀትርን ቀይርኒ ከይበለ ጠሚኒ ከይበለ ፀሓይ ተወቂዐ ከይበለ ምስ ህዝቡ ተኣሳሲሩ ታሪክ ይሰርሕ ኣሎ ንሕና እውን ኣካል ናቱ ኮይና ንሎም መዓልቲ ንቁጣትን ሎም መድሕርሕርሲ ፋሽስታውያን ሸፋቱ ሰብ ልሙድ ተስፋሕፋሕቲ ቦታ እዚ ሒዞም ንዓና ከጥቕሎም መዓት ሰላማዊ ሰልፊ ክገብሩ ሓሲቦም ነይሮም እዮም ንሕና ግን ጀጋኑ ተጋሩ እዚ እውን ፓርት ኦፍ ዘ ዋር ናይቲ ኩናት መቐጠልታት ስለ ዝኾነ ብሕጊ ንዕኦም መፈሽልና ተቆፃፂርና የውዕልና ኢና ታሪክ ሰሪሕና ኢና ኣጆኻ ህዝቢ ትግራይ ጥሜትካ ጥሜትና ሞትካ ሞትና ፅምዓትካ ፅምዓትና ምቑራፅካ ምቑራፅና እዩ እስካብ ትግራዋይ ዓዱ ተመሊሱ ሃገረ ትግራይ ጠጠው እስካብ ዘብል ለይትን ቀትርን ብሰያታትና ብሰንዴታትና ምስተን ሬብ ትግበራ ዘለዋ ኣሕዋትና ምስቶም ተቐቲሎም ናብ ገደል ዝርበዩ ዘለዉ ኣሕዋትና ብሰዓቶም ኮይና ታሪክ ክንሰርሕ ኢና ትግራይ ኩሉ ግዜ ፀላእታ ብዙሓት እዮም ምክንያቱ ትግራዋይ ኩሉ ግዜ በሊሕን ምሁርን ስለ ዝኾነ ነቶም መሃይማትን መድሕርሕርትን እግዶ ዘይብሎም ንዓታቶም ኣብ ዓለም ከጋልፆም ስለ ዝኾነ እቲ ትግራዋይ ከም ትግራዋይ መጠን ንሃጋቶም ድኽመት ንክሽፍኑ እቲ በሊሕን ምሁርን ስልጡንን ተዋጋዓይን ፖለቲካዊ ዝኾነ ትግራዋይ ንኸጥፉ ለይትን ቀትርን ኢሳያስን ኣብይ ኣሕመድን ተስፋሕፋሕትን ፀበልትን ሸፋቱን ለይትን ቀትርን ንዓና ንኸጥፉ ይጓየሉ ግን ትግራዋይ ዘበት ኣይጠብን ንሕና ኢና መሰረት ዓዲ ንሕና ኢና መሰረት ታሪክ ንሕና ኢና መሰረት ሓበሻ ንዓና ዘጥፍእ ሓይሊ የለን ኣብ ደገን ኣብ ውሽጥን ኮይና ተጋሩ ንፀላእትና ደኾሕኾሕ ነብሎም ኢና ኣለና ምሳኻ ህዝቢ ትግራይ ከይትስቆን ኣይንስቆንን ካብዚ ዘድሊ ንድሕር ኮይኑ ነብዚ ዘሎ መንእሰይ ትግራዋይ ናብ ትግራይ ናባኻ መፅኡ ተሰሊፉ መስማዊ ሰብን ህልው እዩ ትግራይ ትዕወት ክነሸንፍ ኢና ክንስዕሮም ኢና ትግራይ ኩሉ ግዜ ታሪኻዊት ሃገር እያ ክስዕር እያ ሃገረ ትግራይ ክትልምልም እያ ንዓመታት ጌርኒ እንተይኮነት ድሕሪ ዝወርሒ እዚ ኣብ ሃገረ ትግራይ መቐለ መፂና ኣብ ውሽጢ ዘሎ ህዝብናን ንሕናን ሓባር ኮይና ክነውዕሎ ኢና ትግራይ ትዕወት የቕኒየለይ
Thank you. So that's one of the Denver, Colorado leaders, guys. There's probably a little over 1,000 cars. So that's pretty amazing. So this is another guy that was chanting the whole time.
Yeah.
So you're live on Cyber Bar of Tigray, man.
Yes, sir.
So
it was a beautiful day. We shut down the city. We had cars just endless. You could just see it, red and yellow, just flags. Just everyone chanting, everyone advocating. We shut the city down. Everyone was looking at us. Everyone was asking what we were here to do.
Have you been to Tigray?
Yeah.
Okay.
2 years ago was the last time.
Okay.
Yep.
So how does it make you feel? What's happening back home?
It feels terrible. It's the thing I always say is like when I do go back home, they always treat you like you're a celebrity, like you're royalty. You know? So for those
the
people,
love and respect, right?
Yeah,
Our people.
Yeah, with just genuine love, and they're not jealous. Like, oh, why are you in America with all this fancy stuff? They don't even have toilets, you know, in Oxford, where my parents are from, where my family is from. So to hear about the massacre and stuff like that is heartbreaking. And it's heartbreaking because they started with so much less than us in America, and then they have to go through this on top of that. So in America, it's really our job to advocate for them because they have nobody there to help them. It's all on us. And that's why we're doing what we're doing. We shut down the city if they don't hear us.
Were you guys expecting this much of a crowd?
No. This is.
I thought you guys were doing something small, by the way. So yeah. I'm not from here, but when I came in, I found out like just about 4 or 5 days ago.
Yeah.
I was actually in DC and New York.
Yeah.
So I wasn't anticipating half of this crowd actually.
Yeah. No, me neither. I was like, I didn't think it was gonna be as many. I knew it was gonna be like a nice group. You know, we have a good community here, but everyone came out. As you can see, you know what I mean? We shut it down, and we're gonna continue to shut it down until everyone's heard.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And now,
young mess.
Awesome. You going live on the ground?
The way that funding works is
Yes.
like you have to go through a whole public process, and you
Yes.
have like you set your budget at the beginning of the year, and the council votes on that budget, and they decide what they want to do with your funding, and then that's supposed to carry you throughout the rest of the year. So when something happens in like December, it can be really difficult for a government to pivot and respond to that because it's just not how you're set up. And that's why nonprofits and like partner agencies and things like that are so important, because that you have the ability to respond, and you have the ability to be visible, and you have the ability to do those things. The city doesn't provide direct services to people. That's another thing that I think is important for people to know, is that like my team is here to help organize things like this, but we aren't we're not direct service providers. Somebody can call me and be like, can you pay my rent? And I'll be like, I can't.
Yeah.
I don't have a way to do
Yeah.
it. I'm sorry. But I can get you to an agency that the city has funded to help people.
Yeah.
So I think there's sometimes a little bit of confusion about that.
Yeah, let's talk about like organizations, because you have a certain, probably like what would you call them, like a vetted, authorized organizations that you work with, right? Like the VOA.
Yeah, and sort of no.
Right.
I mean, we'll work with anybody. We'll talk to anybody at the city level. There are agencies that have more resources available to them, I will say.
Yeah.
And the biggest resource, like the most important, like and serious resource to get people hooked up with is housing help. Like, that's the thing. That is the thing that ends people's homelessness, is housing.
Yes.
Yep,
that's what we keep
housed,
saying. That's it.
If you're housed, then you're not homeless anymore.
Yeah.
That's so important.
Housing and healthcare. Housing and healthcare. Those are the two things.
Healthcare.
Those are the two things that we need to. Our culture needs to freaking reconcile. Is how are we going to keep people housed, and how are we going to keep people healthy?
I'm with you.
Mental health care deserves a much higher priority than it's
Oh,
getting.
especially here, yeah.
Honestly, that is one of the things that kept me homeless for so long, is there's no way to treat my mental health issues.
I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought.
I always do that.
Ask me your question again.
I have no idea. What was my
I'm
question?
kind of
Oh, I think I was just talking about organizations. I just wanted to point out that.
Oh, yeah.
That
The organization thing.
Yeah.
So, there are organizations that, like, I mean, getting people into housing, when you're getting people into housing with government assistance, you still have to deal with that bureaucracy. That bureaucracy is a thing, and it's not going to go away. Like, you still have to, like, help people get through the process of applying for housing assistance. You have to help people get through the process of, what am I thinking here? The time that it takes to like qualify for different housing programs, there you have to be able to prove some of that stuff to be able to qualify for it, and you have to be able to do that through like through a homeless management information system. And there are only a handful of agencies that participate in the homeless management information system. So, for groups like yours that are more grassroots, like, I know that you don't have access to that stuff, and that's kind of tough, and I'm not saying that you can't get there, like, for sure you could get there.
Well,
but one thing that is really helpful is just making sure that you are, like, staying close. Like, I know you talked to Dennis at the VOA just, like, a couple minutes ago, and those agencies can be really good partners for you in trying to get people into those more long-term resources. You guys can help a ton with like some of the shorter-term stuff and a lot of the like good engagement and like relationship building. But those guys have like more of the like, they can get
Yeah.
people vouchers.
I wanna-
they can get people into those things that like.
Sorry, I need to insert this here because I think a lot of people think that we're just trying to do everything on our own and that we don't like working with organizations. We point people to these organizations all the time. We want people to utilize these organizations and utilize their services. That's what we want. Like again, like myself, we're all doing this at, like, I don't get paid to do this. I spend all my own money to drive people around. You know, I spend all my own money to buy them everything that they need, you know, all the propane tanks, blankets, whatever it is. Like, it's all my money. Like, I'm paying myself to do what everyone should be doing. And that's what most activists out here are doing, these people that aren't a part of an organization. We're paying out of our own pocket to help people out. So my point is, oh shoot, what is my point? I mean, it has to do. Oh, yeah, that was it. We want people to get the resources. Now, again, it's bureaucracy. It's like, where do we point people and who can do what, and then and balls get dropped, right? Like, if you don't have a person with you walking you through it, and saying, okay, let's walk over here, let's drive over here, because this is what I did. You know, as I physically drive people here, you know, okay, I'm going to stay with you until you get your ID. Okay, I'm going to stay with you until you get this, and then you come back. Because people, again, we're talking about mental health and stuff, like, people, like, what you're saying, like, for an average person who has a stable life, can get on the internet and look up some things and has the time, you know, to be frustrated. But for some people out here, it's just like when abatements are happening, they freeze. They don't know what to do. They have nowhere to go. They freeze. They don't do anything. So even though things are available, things don't happen because their psychology or whatever is like, they freeze. So it might seem easy, but it's not until we have people that walk people through all of these things. They need someone to really, like, grab their hand and say, okay, we're going to do this. It's just like today, we were moving Cece, and Cece was like, no, just let them take everything. And we're like, no, we're going to get as much stuff of much of your valuables out of here. She's like, because she's so frustrated, she just wants to give up. She just wants to give up, you know, and she actually said, you know, if it wasn't for y'all being here, you know, she would have just given up. But it's up to, yeah, anyway, blah, 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 blah.
No, I hear you. I do. And this is something I will say, like, we don't have everything figured out. You know, we're learning, and we learn all the time. Part of that learning is listening to activists and, like, trying to hear what you're saying. So this is good that we're talking, Carl. I hope everybody's being nice in the comments.
They are.
Good. Yeah, I mean, like, the more, like, you know, the more that we can hear from people on the ground, the better we're going to be able to do things. But I will say, like, it does take some patience. Like, you know, we don't have everything figured out. We may not do everything perfectly. But we try. And the fact that we kind of are built more for transparency than for speed doesn't, like, it means that sometimes it takes a long time to, like, make the improvements that are really necessary. But that being said, like, that doesn't mean that we can't, like, get there.
So here's my suggestion from a person, and I'm not a group. I'm a part of all the groups. I work with all the groups.
I know, you're all over.
Okay, with everybody. And I have my 2 organizations, but we don't do this. We do other things.
What are your 2 organizations?
I'm a co-founder of SLCR Protectors and PANDOS, Peaceful Advocates for Native Dialogue and Organized Support. So we do stuff for human rights and environmental rights in Salt Lake City.
Cool.
Or here, anyway. Standing up for indigenous sovereignty, indigenous situations. Okay, so here's my suggestion is, one would be, because you understand the bureaucracy, because you understand that it's set up for transparency and not expediency, is to, like, when we're trying to help people, is to maybe get the police department off our backs. You know, like, when we're trying to help people move, like, you know, like let them be more of a help than a hindrance and a trauma, you know, because every time unsheltered people see police, they're traumatized because of PTSD. I mean, PTSD is real. Like, whatever happened to them personally, whatever they saw happen, you know, and whatever the situation was, maybe that person was at fault and resisting and doing whatever. Like, I'm saying that PTSD is real. So when you see a big squad, like a military, like a big army of cops come in, that's very traumatic. And really, we don't need that, because all we're trying to do, as far as the people that I work with, is we're trying to help people. We're trying to help people out.
Yeah.
We're trying to get them from one place to another, and it would be allowing us to set up somewhere else in these smaller camps, because again, we're with you. Smaller camps are better. Like, smaller camps, they know each other, because that's what at Last Hope. Because of all the pushes that were happening, we get more and more and more and more people that weren't familiar with each other, and they had their own community dynamics. And then when they're trying to mix with another community dynamic, that doesn't work. So I agree with you. Let's get them into smaller camps, but they aren't allowed in smaller camps because they're on city property, or they're on private property, and there's an ordinance against no camping. So we've got problems. So the city really needs to put a moratorium on some things, or designate an area. And I know that I know that the city doesn't want to do that because of liability's sake. So then, basically, we got to change the system. That's what I'm about, is like changing the system, because it is effed up, and we care more about property than people. We care about people making money than people. As a culture. I'm talking about our culture, and I include myself, because I'm a part of this culture. That you know. Anyway, final thoughts. Thanks for talking to me it's been a long time.
It has been. This was good. This was a good conversation. It was cool to be able to talk to you.
Sorry, I keep getting closer. I just want people to hear, because my mic.
And I don't project very much, so that's probably not very helpful.
I project a hell of a lot.
I'm trying to think of like final thoughts.
Just really fast, when you think, well, probably because you can't think because I'm talking, but CDC, what do you think about the CDC guidelines of saying no abatements? Like, how are we violating that?
Well, here's the thing. There are lots of factors that, like, the CDC guidance is very specific to COVID-19.
Yes.
We have a lot set up to help people who are at risk for COVID-19. So, if you are in a high-risk category, there are non-congregate shelter options available for you. There's a couple. There's not just one. There's a few. And those are really helpful for people. Those things have actually helped to keep our transmission rate super low. The homeless resource centers, I gotta say, I know that people don't think this, but they have done an excellent job at keeping people safe. They're service providers, and those service providers have worked really, really hard to pivot and to clean and to keep people distanced and to give people masks and to give people education and to try really, really hard at keeping the people that they are taking care of safe. So I will say that. There are lots of other risk factors, though, that are associated with camps, and that can be like disease vectors with vermin. It can be like open sewage, you know, like those kinds of things. And you always have to weigh that balance between the risk factors with COVID and the other risk factors. So like you can't have like a huge hep outbreak, you know, like you can't
No.
You can't have those kinds of things. And those things are associated with larger camps typically. That's part of why we do what we're doing here today with like offering people COVID-19 vaccinations. 4th Street was out here yesterday doing testing, and nobody tested positive, which is really great.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's super great. But you know, we're trying to be conscious of this, and we're trying to be like certain that we're not doing like this harm in this way, that we're making sure that we're like taking as many precautions as humanly possible, giving people masks, giving people sanitizer, giving people vaccinations, giving people testing, and if they do test positive, then we can help them with quarantine and isolation. That's the Salt Lake County Health Department, actually, I should say. That's not the city. That's the Salt Lake County Health Department. They have a quarantine and isolation facility set up so that if people do test positive, they can remove that person, or not like forcibly remove them, but they can offer that person an environment where they can isolate and where they can get better on their, like in an isolated environment, as opposed to like putting them in a congregate setting or keeping them out on the street where they very possibly also could spread the disease.
So I mean, people need to understand that, because of that, because not all the beds are available because of the social distancing, because of that, and I know that the city opened up Airport Inn as a solution or something, and that's going to be closing on the 15th, am I correct?
It's set to close on the 15th.
Okay.
Where the Salt Lake Valley Coalition to End Homelessness, so the city is part of the Salt Lake Valley Coalition to End Homelessness, so is the county, and so are all of the service providers. You should join it. It is open to the public, so anybody who is interested in participating and wants to have an influence on the system can join the Salt Lake Valley Coalition to End Homelessness. You can join a task group from the, as part of the coalition, and what that does is that helps to inform policy around homeless services. So when we opened up new overflow facilities like the Airport Inn, that actually was developed through the Salt Lake Valley Coalition to End Homelessness. It was not necessarily the city going out and saying we want to figure this out. It was a group of service providers and people with lived experience and governments and advocates coming together and saying, what are we going to do? How are we going to run our overflow this year? So that's good. That's definitely a very, very helpful organization to be a part of.
Who makes the decision, or who makes the final decisions from that coalition, or do they give suggestions and then?
Steering committee. There's a steering committee. I think there's 18 people on the steering committee, but they're kind of the final say. And if you're a part of the coalition, you can join the steering committee when openings come up. I think you have to be nominated. But you know, it's an open forum. It's open to anybody. Anybody can join it. So sorry, I'm getting sort of
tired.
No, I'm just losing my train of thought. I have a tendency to get really into the details of this stuff. Right. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Not.
So, what is the city What is the city's solution? Okay, keep going.
You were asking.
Go ahead.
About the Airport Inn. We would like to see it. We would like to see any non-congregate facility remain open for as long as we can. So we're looking at different options and trying to figure out a way, if we can, to keep those things open. There's a lot of factors that play into that. Some of it is conditional use permitting. Some of it is funding, if there is funding available or not. Some of it is usually it's the government going in and or not the government, but a service provider going in and taking over a business. When you put people in hotels, and sometimes that hotel owner wants their hotel back. That kind of thing. So we're trying to see if there are ways. We're trying to see if there's a way to extend it. I can't make any promises. You never know.
Right. But the city is aware. I mean, that once that closes, you got 150 people that are going to be out again, and obviously. We don't have enough rooms.
Yeah, we've been working on trying to also get a lot of the people who are staying in those non-congregate facilities into housing. So working with different service providers to go to those places. We actually did one of these resource fairs at the Airport Inn facility and then at another facility also. Just trying to get people hooked up with stuff. Hello. Trying to get people to have housing conversations with people. One thing that is really cool that I will say is that to toot the city's horn is that we were able a couple of years ago to put together a shared housing pilot. Shared housing is kind of a new thing in the homeless services world.
Okay.
And what that is going to people, if you have a roommate, if you're getting an apartment and you can't afford it on your own, you can probably afford it if you have a roommate. So going to people who already like have connections to each other, like in shelter or on the street even, or like places like that, and saying, let's find you both a spot that you can go to, and that will make it cheaper for you, and we can help like upfront some of the costs to get you into this place, and then you are more likely to be successful and keep that place because it's like a dual income situation.
Is that still going on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, and these people are aware, like the VOA is aware of it. And
yeah, so one of the things that we've been doing is in our non-congregate shelters for people who are like getting along, you know, if they have like a roommate situation and they're getting along, then trying to hook them up with that program to get them into a place of their own that they're eventually going to be able to afford to pay for on their own. Because they're in a better financial situation because they've got more options.
Okay, I'm gonna let you go.
Okay.
I appreciate you. And I'm gonna go back get to Cece and figure out what her life situation is like. But yeah, I appreciate you talking to me. Thank you.
Bye.
See ya. Okay, so let's go see what Cece's up to. We gotta find a place for her to get her belongings to her. There is at 2:30 she has like a couple of garbages that she can have, garbage bins to store things. Cece, what's the latest?
These guys I'm on the phone right now with the ladies that came down to help me get on housing. That's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. You're trying to get you back on housing. That doesn't mean that you're going to get a place, though,
No.
right? Right, because that's going to take time. That's one of the issues is people get in housing and they're on housing for like 2, 3, 4 years. They get kicked off of housing for whatever reason, or they have to start all over. I don't know. Oh my gosh, it's actually chilly. I'm just getting back in my truck. Jeez.
Are you freezing?
Yeah.
Close this for me.
No, you're good. You're good. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Anyway, that's the information that I know. Okay, that's the information that I know. The bottom line, the other bottom line is, everyone's gonna go home. All these tents are gonna pack up, go home. Everyone goes home. You know. And there's still going to be people on the streets. Granted, people were helped out. Good things happened. Jeez. Anyway. I love y'all. You got to change the system. It sucks. Sucks ass.